highly unmotivated guy, was doing not much with his life, raised by a single mom, was a devout MGTOW content consumer, also on antidepressants. I'm not going to post a link to the last video, but to sum that up, that's basically what was going on in his life. And my advice to him at the time was get off the antidepressants, lift, and stop watching content that makes you feel like a loser. So the topic today on the subject says making bank as a young guy, crazy family inheritance. So let's hop right into this. Not sure if you remember my last request was depressed in college on antidepressants, and I was thinking about leaving the country for Brazil. Doesn't want his name shared, but you can repost response. He's 175 pounds and slim fat. So what that generally looks like, guys, is pear-shaped body. You're carrying a lot more belly fat and don't have much size in your upper body. Anyways, I'm in a much better place now, stress-free, living in Western Europe. I've been here for almost a year and a half, and my red pill journey has continued. However, once again, I've come at a crossroads and have a couple of questions. First, I have some single motherhood of the traveling pants issues. I'm not sure what you mean by that, dude. I understand the single mother issues because you brought it up in the last request. Basically, he grew up in a household where his mom and dad were fighting for custody, and he said that his mom was a good woman, but his dad would basically beat his step-siblings to the point of pain. So issues with mother and grandmother are what he's dealing with now. I've learned throughout the past that my mother had abortions before me. She used my dad at 35 because she wanted a kid. My mother had serious borderline personality disorder and daddy issues. I can see when she was young and attractive, lots of guys would want her, but the manipulation was always underneath motivations, and she fought a custodial court battle with my father almost until he died. She has another beta boyfriend she's been with over the past year. Like, just an observation, dude. The last request, because I read it before I got into this one, just to refresh myself, you basically put your mom up on a pedestal and disparaged your father in the last request. This one here seems like you've learned something over the last couple of years about the reality of that relationship. That's an interesting update right there. Anyway, let's carry on. Turning 22 next month. Leaving the U.S. has probably been the best thing ever for me. It's allowed me to realize a beta pathway I had been set in my entire life and how I've disrupted it. My immigration status in Europe is good until October. I've been thinking about leaving here too because it's quite beta in terms of high taxes and loony politics. Sights are set on Russia, post-Soviet republics, and Asia for lifestyle, and a pretty traditional, strategically important African countries for work purposes, as I speak several key languages. I know he speaks Portuguese because he was talking about going to Brazil last time. I wonder what happened with that. Do you have an update for me on that? Anyway, work purposes, key languages that are needed for companies to engage in operations. I'm also incorporating a company in one of the post-Soviet republics, so I have access to the Russian market as well as surrounding economies. It's so easy to get comfortable in Europe, but I know that I have to move if I want to continue my journey and not become another complacent beta. You're really focused on complacency and betatization, which is interesting. Okay, so my questions are, what do you think of my global strategy? Any recommendations for location in terms of work versus play balance? How would you deal with a crazy woman in the above examples? Okay, well, straight. I'm going to put a card up on the top right of the screen. So get on my email list. When you click that link, you'll be prompted to get the free chapter on 20 red flags to look out for in women. All you guys should be familiar with these 20 red flags. I'm the guy that says, hey, look, there's a steaming pile of crap here. Walk around it. Okay? Don't walk through it. A lot of guys will walk through it and then complain about after looking at that steaming pile of crap and stepping in it. Oh, this is bull crap, you know. It's like, okay, you knew what it was. Walk around it. That's what that 20 red flags chapter is. So read that chapter, read it again. That will eliminate 90% of the potential landmines you could step on, which could essentially make your life a train wreck. So I'll deal with the crazy in that sense. That's why I put that out there for you guys. So you just don't deal with crazy is really what it boils down to. Guys, you get out of life what you tolerate. Any other advice for a guy about to turn 22 who wants to take life by the horns and live by his own rules? All right, well, if I could go back in a time machine and have a conversation with my 22-year-old self, how old was I? 22. I was I was living in my no, was I back? I think I was back from England. So at 21, I went to the UK. My parents had decided to move the family over there. They sold the home in the suburbs, the GTA suburbs. I went back for 3.5 months, hated it. We were in Kempston/Bedford, which is basically the armpit of the UK. If you're not familiar, you can look it up on a map. But at 22, I had come back. I was living by myself. Actually, no, I was living with, I was renting a room from one of my best friend's mom. And one of my other very close friends had decided to come back to Toronto from California. He was kind of in a similar boat, so it was very unique that the both of us had our paths cross at that time. So if I could sit down and have a conversation with 22-year-old me, I would tell him, do not make women the focus of your life. Your purpose needs to become the focus of your life. Figure out what it is that you need to do. When I say that, I'm saying, don't exclude women from your life, but don't make them the focus of it. Don't let them derail you from your purpose. Do not get into a long-term relationship with any women at that age. They're only going to distract you from what it is that you're trying to accomplish and what it is that you're trying to learn out of your life. So that's a really important component. You also want to explore. I mean, you're talking about moving around Europe a lot. At 22, you're talking about living in post-Soviet Russia and perhaps Asia. So what advice would I give? Dude, if you're going to do that, awesome. You didn't say anything about the inheritance, so I'm assuming you've got bank now at this point and you're looking to preserve or make more of that in the future. So with that assumption, you can live pretty easily in many places in Russia and Asia at very low cost. $2,000 a month. I've got a friend right now that's in Thailand. I mean, $2,000 a month, you can live like a king. So, decide where you want to set up or where you want to explore, and then just go and do it and figure out what it is that you want to offer to people to solve their problems, whether you're going to work for a corporation, or you're going to work for yourself. Just start finding ways to solve problems, because people will give you money if you can solve their problems. And if you're really, really good at it, you will accumulate more wealth. All that money is a store of value. So if you accumulate more money, aka value, it's because you solved a lot of problems for a lot of people. So look for ways to do those things. Explore passions that light you up, that charge your batteries, that, blow your hair back, knock your socks off, all that good stuff. Because life is short. Before you know it, you'll be 46. And, moving from 22 to 46, you don't have the same luxuries that you do at 22. You got a lot more runway, you got a lot more time, a lot more grains of sand in the hourglass that, are scheduled to drop. So don't take the luxury of time that you have right now too lightly. So those would be the main things that I would sit down and tell myself. But very, very seriously, don't take them with a grain of salt. I'm going to pretend I'm talking to myself, Rich. So Rich, don't take that with a grain of salt. It is the reality of what you're going to be up against in the years to come. Don't make any stupid mistakes with women. Always be in control of the birth. Really, really smart guys in their early 20s are going to be spoiled for choice later on in their life if they make the right decisions. Also, at 22, if you're skinny fat right now and you linked me your Facebook profile, you're a handsome guy, I see a little bit of a double chin under your first chin. You don't look fat to me in the face, but it looks like you're carrying a little bit of extra weight. I would definitely, at 22, it's very easy to master self-care. It's a lot harder when you get on your life in your 40s and 50s and 60s and stuff, especially if you've lived an unhealthy prior, 20, 30, 40 years to that. So don't take self-care lightly, because it will become harder later on in your life. So that's another important thing that I would recommend. Get into combat sports. Combat sports are great for so many different angles. There's a lot of conditioning in combat sports. So just join a dojo, or if you're moving around Europe, find one to move one to the other. A lot of them do multiple disciplines, so you can get into boxing, Krav Maga, BJJ, whatever. But the conditioning's great. It's some of the best cardio exercise you can do. Plus, you learn a useful skill on how to defend yourself from an attacker, or very, very easily disable somebody, so that you don't have to deal with the crap that comes from the attack. It's also a very good mental game too, and you learn to work with some, how can I put this? There's no losers that go to dojos. I mean, if somebody is going to a dojo and they've been going for a while, it has a way of weeding out the quitters and the losers and the weak people, because they get bruised, they get hurt, they don't want to keep going back. It's a problem for them to run around, and the conditioning's too much work for them, so they quit. So the best way that I can put it is there's no losers in those types of environments. So you're going to, you always become the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So as far as your self-care, I would also deal with that part as well. Lift weights and get into combat sports for sure.
All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.